Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm making this video because I want to point attention to a video that I think everybody should watch, and I have to give credit to Watchtower Examination, to Winston. He put this video out, which caused me to go and look for this specific video. He references it. The video I think you should watch is on JW Broadcasting, specifically in their programs and events section. What you're looking for is the 147th Gilead Graduation, the concluding talk, and assignments. This video is interesting because right around the 5-minute 20-second mark, you will find Garrett Loesch beginning to recite a long history of groups going over 1,000 years in the past that expected the end of this system of things to come based on their interpretation of the Bible. He goes on to enumerate this for roughly 4 minutes, bringing you up to the modern times with the Watchtower's failed expectations. And ironically, in this, he says that the brothers expected Jesus to come in 1844. Now, this is a Freudian slip because the Watchtower, as we know it today, did not exist and was not conceived of in 1844. The reason why 1844 is important is because that's the date that a preacher named William Miller predicted the end to come. And ironically, the Millerite movement is what would later spawn the Watchtower. There's other religions too, with apocalyptic visions that were spawned from this time. The Watchtower is merely one of them. So here, Loesch is perhaps Freudian slipping, or at least tacitly admitting that he knows the history of the Watchtower is not really from Charles Taze Russell, but from William Miller. The other possibility, which I will grant is possible, is he just slipped up and made a mistake on stage, because we all do that. I've done that. So that's a possibility too. So this is not necessarily an admission from Garrett Loesch that Charles Taze Russell based his theology on William Miller's type of predictions, but it's a possibility, not a certainty. We'll put it that way. Anyways, the reason I find this interesting is because if you can sit through this long list of people who have been disappointed in their expectations for the end and still think the Watchtower has the truth, in my mind, this is like a Watchtower litmus test of how indoctrinated are you. Are you a company man? Can I tell you all this stuff that should wake you up and see if you are still going to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses? And if so, there are some good company positions coming up for you. So anyways, I highly recommend that you watch this from JW Broadcasting, at least that section of it. I didn't watch beyond that. But so those of you who are trying to wake up your family members, this is precarious. If you are in a position where they will still talk to you about such things, where they do not yet know that you are awake and out, this is a great video to watch, because you can ask some questions about this video that are not apostate. You know, questions that will plant seeds of doubt in their head. Like, isn't that really fascinating that for well over 1,000 years, people have been predicting that the end is going to come in their time? And here Garrett Loesch admitted that we too, being Jehovah's Witnesses, have predicted the end is going to come in times when it didn't. Say, do you ever wonder? Is it possible that we're just another one of these groups? But the problem is, if you've already crossed a threshold where they think that you're apostate, that discussion is probably not going to fly. If you can get them to watch that video somehow and not ask questions about it, that would be good. But once you've crossed the threshold whereby every time you bring up the organization they think you're saying bad things about it, that could be difficult. So you might have to find a subtle way to get them to look into that. Anyways, I find this interesting. Here we have the governing body basically admitting what's going on. But this being said, I'm going to give this one little caveat. Is if you go back in history, Fred Franz basically in public talks at district conventions at like huge assemblies used to go through the whole entire history of the Watchtower. And if you read some of the older books going back to like the 70s and before, they basically recited the history of the Watchtower, whereby if you listened to one of his talks, you should have realized that, you know, their expectations failed miserably. How can they possibly claim to be Jehovah's people? So perhaps the governing body is returning to their form, but I don't know. Anyways, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.